All right. I'd like to start off by saying Barakatah Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Baruch Kodash. Welcome to another live lesson. The name of this one is Terrible Times. I'm joined with the Elder Chanak.
Shalom, shalom.
And pretty much, we were watching the Ephraimite brother, Salaki bro, I don't know your name, the brother out in Saints of Jersey, a video he was doing. And, he was premiering, no, not premiering, showcasing, I guess, for lack of better words, these truck drivers and how these truck drivers are catching hell. There's no loads to carry, to make money off of. They're sitting in lines for hours and not getting nothing. And it's like every day that goes by, it gets lesser and lesser. So, we said, well, you know what? Lord's will talk about that, when we go on our walk. And things are going to get harder and harder because it's prophesied. The time of Jacob's trouble is going to be unlike any other time before. And in the midst of all of that, it's going to be chaotic. And eventually, when the deliverance comes, there's going to be so much hell going on out here, that we're going to be wishing to get out of here sooner than later. Put it to you like that. And Jake is going to catch holy hell out here in these streets, especially, all of them that ain't a part of the elect, but especially those that have been mocking. Remember what the Lord said, matter of fact, you had something?
Yeah, go ahead.
You had something?
Yeah, Ecclesiastes 12.
Now bring it out.
Yeah, this is Ecclesiastes 12. And one, remember now the Creator.
This way or that way?
We're going to go this way. Remember now thy Creator in the days of thy youth, while the evil days come not,
Beautiful.
nor the years draw nigh, when thou shalt say, I have no pleasure in them.
Right. Remember the Creator in the evil day. Your youth, before the evil days come. And we're approaching these evil days, these perilous times. It's comparison to when you're a young man, you have your vigor and your strength. But when you get old, you lose all that vigor and that strength. You become, hard. It becomes hard to move about. You can't do the things that you used to do. So that's in comparison to the times that are coming. At one point, thing was nice and easy. You had the time of your life. You didn't seek the Lord. You didn't want nothing to know. You didn't want nothing to do with the Heavenly Father, Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. You might have watched a couple of videos, made jokes, or you might have watched some videos, kind of got involved a little bit, then went back in the world. And now that you see the prophecies coming to pass, you're trying to get back right. Mm-hmm. Well, you should have been doing that. But at the end of the day, the elect are the elect. The elect will be saved. They will do what they're supposed to do, and the rest will not. They're going to do what they're supposed to do, which is nothing, until they be destroyed.
It says, while the sun and the light, or the moon, or the stars be not darkened.
Mm-hmm. That's dealing with the knowledge, wisdom, and the understanding of the truth that we're teaching right now. Because what the scriptures say, and knowledge and wisdom shall be the stability of thy times and strength of salvation. The scriptures speak about a fool that has no heart to it, and also speaks about a fool that his wisdom faileth him, or something along those lines. So you have individuals out there that know certain things, but when the time comes, they're not going to be able to recall. They're not going to be able to tap into that spirit of comfort. You want to say something?
No. It says, while the sun or the light or the moon or the stars be not darkened, nor the clouds return after the rain. Mm-hmm. In the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble.
Right, and that's what's happening. Who are the keepers? The keepers of the house are these economists, the individuals that keep track of these sales. The individuals that do inventory and to see what's coming in, what's not coming in, how much money, because when you see the GDP, right, gross domestic product, and the different numbers you have up there, it just don't go up there like one. You know, it's like shit happens, and all of a sudden those numbers just pop up. Somebody has to insert those numbers in there. So you have people that are actually watching these different situations playing out on the earth, and counting. You know, all right, we have such and such, and we made such and such money off of this particular product and that particular commodity, so on and so forth, and they tally everything up. That's where you get your GDP. That's where you get your, you know, the money that you're actually making, the money that you're actually spending, the money that you're losing, you know, taxing and all of that. So these individuals that are the economists or the house managers, you know, the house managers are going to be, watch you gonna cross. The house managers are going to be, you know, trembling because they're not going to see a future for America. And a lot of these economists pretty much have the same outlook for Babylon the Great, America. It's grim. It's going to be devastating. Gerald Celente calls it the Greater Depression, if I'm not mistaken, or the Greatest Depression, one of those two. You know?
It says, in the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble, and the strong men bow themselves, and the grinders cease because they are few.
Right. So it says the strong men bow themselves. That's your military. It says, and the grind cease because they are few. It's fucking heathens, man. Go ahead, bro. Satan is just a motherfucker, boy.
It says, and the grinders cease because they are few, and those that look out of the windows be darkened.
Right. What is the windows? The windows are the futures. You have something in stocks called futures. Mm-hmm. You know, where they actually project, you know, what a particular commodity or stock is going to do, you know, in the near future, just based off of the numbers that it's producing at that moment. Mm-hmm. You know, and
if I could say this too, and based off of,
I was about to get that dude the fucking elbow if he would have came too fucking close.
And based off of the
brothers.
Based off the trends that are happening in the world, whether it be like war, whether it be, you know, drought, whether it be, you know, anything that's happening in the earth, they'll say, okay, you know, this commodity is going to do this, that commodity is going to do that, based upon the different things that are happening in the earth. So now in this case, we see that all the economists have a bad outlook because you have war that's springing up, you have a downturn of jobs, nobody's hiring. Ooh. Okay, you have these tariffs that are taxing the people. Okay,
beautiful.
You have you know, the sentiment is not good. Mm-hmm. You know, the outlook is not good. Thinking about World War III, that's still on the table.
Oh yeah,
right. So these economies, these housekeepers, they're like, hey, nah, it's like Richard Wolff. He's like, nah, America's done.
Finished.
You know, anybody that knows anything about economics knows that America cannot bounce back. Well, they're telling you that a new system is actually being created.
Right.
That's like the only remedy you could say for the collapsing system that we're seeing.
Right. Yeah, and then we were watching Christopher Green last night, and he pretty much said that Taiwan, what did it say? The dollar, what did he say, defaulted? Or
the dollar collapsed against Taiwan.
There you go, about the Taiwanese money. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm not sure the name of the Taiwanese money, you know, but he said it collapsed against that, because he said, like, when you trade in currencies, pretty much, if it's down 1%, you make money. So he said that the Taiwanese money was up. I think it said up 10% from the dollar or something like that. So that means that the dollar collapsed against that particular currency. But what you have to understand is that these things are done purposely. It's fucking noisy on that street, huh?
No, yeah. I'll try to get away from it quick.
Yeah. You know, like them demons too. Salakia, brother, you know, them fucking heathens get all close to you. Anyway, Salakia. You know, so the purpose of what's going on is they really want to collapse the dollar, but they're making it seem like they're trying to save the dollar. And that's not the case. They want to collapse the old system because the Taiwanese dollar ain't running the world. The British pound ain't running the world. The Chinese yuan ain't running the world. the Japanese yen and all of these different rubles and all that, they're not running the world. The euro ain't running the world. It's the U.S. American dollar, the USD, that's running the economies of the world, because everybody has to trade in them, because that was the agreement going back to 1944-45, the Bretton Woods Agreement, you see? So what they want to do is collapse the old system and bring in the new world order, and the new system being this digital system, which is going to be, say, well, we want to have different currencies and different digital currencies. No, they want one single digital currency, which is the MOTB, which is a micro CHIP. Because what they want pretty much is a system of control. They want a one world government. They don't want everybody can fairly trade. That's just the
illusion.
The illusion that they're giving you. You want to say something?
No.
That's the illusion that they're giving you. They really don't want that. They want one religion, one government, one ruler, everything just one. So if that's the case, they want one currency. They don't want a whole bunch of currencies, because a whole bunch of currencies, if you have a whole bunch of currencies, then everybody stands to make money off of that. But if you have one currency, the person that holds that currency that's in play is the one that's going to make the most money out of it. You see? So that's what they want.
Yeah, and they own the technology that the currency is going to be used, traded upon.
That's right.
This digital currency. Who owns that technology? Who's going to own the blockchain? Is it going to be, for example, like the Fed? Does the U.S. government, do they control the Fed? Or is that an outside entity? All right, that's an outside entity. They have no control over the Fed.
That's it.
Okay, so it's going to be the same thing. Make it right here. It's going to be the same thing with this digital currency. And the funny thing about it is, there's an illusion that they're fighting against each other, which they are. Right. But at the same time, they're all moving towards a digital currency. They all have these things in the making, because behind the scenes, they're working together to bring in this digital currency. Okay, this world government. All right. Verse 4, it says, and the doors shall be shut in the streets.
Oh, yes, Salaki. There's the last verse. It said, the grinding shall cease because they are few. That's dealing with the jobs. Like the truckers. The dude said that this one company had to shut its doors, get rid of all of his trucks. So that meant that 250 truckers were out of work. And that's just a small number in comparison to everything that's going on. Because if the economy continues like this and this, because why would a trucker keep their business open if there's no containers coming in? Their business is based off of how many containers they can deliver in a short amount of time. The more containers they deliver, guess what? The more profit margin for them. And if they can't deliver any goods because they're not getting them, then that means they ain't gonna make no money. So that's why a lot of these places are shutting down. And they're pretty much shutting down a lot of mom and pops businesses, as they have been doing, going all the way back to 2020.
Yeah, it's a systematic destruction of the economy under the guise of trade war, which is nothing but, it was already going to happen, but it's accelerating the inevitable. All right, because this damn devil, he wants to hurt. He's rushing his NWO. Right. Okay, so this is why we're seeing such all these big moves happening simultaneously. We're at the precipice, okay, of Jacob's trouble, the hour of temptation, okay, and then as well as the salvation. All right, so as America crumbles, all these governments are going to fall, because America is that big domino.
That's it.
Okay.
That's the main what they call the linchpin. You pull that pin out, everything else falls and crumbles. You pull out that pin from the grenade, what happens? The grenade explodes. So that's America. America is that pin that's holding everything together. And once that pin is gone, everything else implodes within itself.
Well, there's the world reserve currency. So if that falls, then everybody falls. You have the truckers not getting goods, right? Well, China is suffering too, because they're not able to sell their goods. And they're able to kind of reroute to certain areas, but America is the biggest consumer. Yep. The rest of the world does not compare to the consumption that America has. Right. Here in America, people buy shit just to buy it. Right. And don't even how many goods do you buy and don't even Use.
Yep.
How much clothes do you have and don't even use? You know, these women have hundreds of pairs of shoes. Even these men, they'll just collect it just to collect it. And where is these items being made? Well, they're being made in China,
Taiwan, all these different places. Yep.
You know, and these other countries, they're super dirt poor, so they can't. China will have no profit trading with them, so they want to trade with America.
Right.
All right. So the new system has to be set up. All right, and that's a system of control through ultimately an RFID microchip.
That's it.
Okay, and this is what's happening: the acceleration and decline of the economics to bring you into this system of control.
Yeah, because this Moabite dude was breaking it down. He said, look, you know, the Chinese consumer is not like the American consumer. American consume, they just buy. You know, they don't care. They don't really. They have savings, but they just spend. Moab, they save. They're very frugal when they buy stuff. So if this market closes for the nations of the world, they're not going to be able to make that money. That's why they're going to cry when this place is destroyed. But now if you try to sell your goods in China, you're not going to get the same turnout that you'll get if you sold your stuff here in America. Because Moab don't buy like that. They don't spend money like that. They understand the value of a dollar. They understand the value of savings, which the Americans don't know. They don't consider. You know, because to them everything is just, we're going straight to like. And you know, to them, you know, everything so-called comes easy. But they're starting to feel that crunch.
Yep. It says, and the doors shall be shut in the streets when the sound of the grinding is low.
Right, the doors shall be shut in the streets, meaning what? These businesses. And when these businesses start shutting down, first step is the truckers. If the truckers ain't moving anything, guess what? Businesses ain't moving anything.
Well, that's the lifeblood. That's like the veins of the economy. To get what? The goods. To get the goods to all, you know, everywhere. It comes off the ships. The truckers pick it up and they disperse it throughout the four corners of America. Once that stops, goods stop coming in.
Sure.
How do you get goods here in America? It doesn't just, you know, magically appear.
Right, materialize.
You have truckers nonstop. It's a nonstop thing, picking up loads, dropping off loads, picking up loads, dropping off loads. All right, when that stops, everything stops.
Supply chain.
You got it? You said it?
Yep.
Yep, it says, when the doors shall be shut in the streets, when the sound of the grinding is low, and he shall rise up at the voice of the bird.
Meaning early in the morning, like they normally do, go ahead.
And all the daughters of music shall be brought low.
Right, because it's going to be a sad, matter of fact, since you read that, go to Isaiah 24:10, you know, because it's going to be sadness, you know, and also the music is lousy as hell today, you know, but there's also when people get up in the morning, you know, some people look forward to going to their job, others don't, you know, and they, you know, especially the ones that got good jobs. But those good jobs are starting to lessen and lessen. And peoples that are in these corporations, that own the corporations, are looking to make profit. And that's why they rather hire, you know, so-called illegals or immigrants and pay them less money than to have to pay the so-called American workers a top wage. Because they know they're not going to go for it. You see? So go ahead.
This is Isaiah 24:10. The city of confusion is broken down. Every house is shut up that no man may come in.
And that's what's happening. The city of confusion is being broken down. City of confusion is America. And the houses are shut up because how's the foreclosure market doing? You know, the housing market. The housing market is doing bad, very bad.
Yep.
You know, so if that's the case, that means that everything is starting to close down. The American dream was what? You work hard, save your pennies, and you get a home, you know, white picket fence, you know, 2 cars, you know, your wife, children, so on and so forth, and then you be set for life. Well, it was a trap, you know, because people that bought into the housing market are now catching hell, having to sell their homes, and guess what? The amount of money they bought the home for, they can't even get that nowadays. So they have to settle for what? For a pay cut. And who's coming in to buy those houses? Bigger corporations that's going to buy your house a lot cheaper than what you had to pay for it and make a profit off of it.
Yeah, and then rent it back to you. So now you pay that, you got to pay that rent, but you don't own the actual property.
Dang.
And this is why they say in the fourth industrial revolution, right? You shall own nothing and be happy.
Yep.
That's what's happening. All these businesses are closing down because these mom and pops, hey, you got a lot of upper middle class individuals that open up businesses that made a lot of money.
Yeah.
A lot of these Edomites that made a whole bunch of money. These upper class Edomites, right? They have a small business, or they might have a construction company pulling $4 or $5 million a year. A plumbing company, and they're pulling $3-4 million a year.
Yep.
Right? Selling goods, whatever it may be, making pretty decent money. Now everything is starting to, tumble.
Yeah.
And they're going to start feeling the pain. Everybody's starting to feel the pain. Okay.
Yep. So what's the scripture I asked you to get?
Yeah,
Isaiah
Isaiah
24.
Yeah, Isaiah 24. It says, "There's a crying for wine in the streets.
Knowledge.
All joy is dark."
Right, because that's what you see happening. All joy is darkened. Because people are still partying, but things are getting harder and harder. So people ain't partying like they used to.
Mm-hmm.
Because of partying and entertainment, that was a way to numb you. And a lot of people was going for it. But now, a lot of people are starting to wake up because they're feeling the crunch. And they can't party like they used to. So they can't numb themselves away like they used to.
Yep. It says, "There's a crying for wine in the streets. All joy is darkened. The mirth of the land is gone."
The mirth of the land is gone. So fun time, or fun world, or I forget what in the movie Pinocchio, what it was called. They called it, I think it was, I guess, alluding to America, Funland or something like that. That thing is coming to an end. What you call it, the effects of the wine are wearing off, and people are starting to be pissed off. Like the scriptures say, the nation of the wine, therefore the nations are mad. These people in America are mad. Oh, and I do too, right? He was speaking and saying that, and in the last 10 years, I believe it was, or decade, he said that Elam was coming to this country to make money. But shit got so crazy that they're pretty much headed home.
Yeah.
And that's good, because the scriptures say that the nations are going to forsake this place and go back to their countries. So you can't tell me that's not prophecy. They come to the golden city, they see the golden city ain't what it is cracked up to be. So now they're doing what? They're doing a reversal, going back to their country, taking the money that they made here and investing it in whatever in their country to make more money, because they stand to make more money there, because they don't have to pay as much for taxes, as much for employees, as much for actual building where you have to set up to make your merchandise.
And it's getting crazy too, because as the businesses close and economic woe sets in, what happens to the people?
Right.
The people go wild. So there's going to be more looting.
Beautiful.
There's going to be more crime. There's going to be more robbery. There's going to be more death. All right. The love of many is going to wax cold.
Yep.
It's going to be all out hell. Okay. Sedition. So these nations are like, I'm going back home. I don't have to deal with that. You know.
Matter of fact, you know what? Let's go to Micah 5. You can start at 7. The point is a little further down, and that's going to cause the race wars, class wars. People are not going to, and then you see Trump pushing for more, to give more power to the police. Like they don't already have enough power and enough immunity as it is. So him giving them that power means that they're just going to go buck wild. Remember, the scripture say they shall be as madmen sparing none. And when that fails, like Elder Yashwama brought out, which is true, we've been talking about that these robots.
Yep.
Robots don't have any feelings. Want to say something?
No, that's it. Micah 5:7. And the remnant of Jacob shall be in the midst of many as a dew from the Lord.
Right, and it's happening right now everywhere. And then Esau is kind of like stirring that pot of hatred, stirring that pot of racism, which is the Most High rousing Judah up. Because once it's roused up, the rest of the tribes follow. Remember, whatever Judah does, everybody follows. No, the other tribes, the world. Because everybody wants to be a Judite, but nobody wants to be a Judite.
We were speaking
You know?
about that earlier.
Yep.
When it comes to the good things, the cool things, oh, it's great. It's gravy. But when it comes to the persecution,
Yeah.
you know, and when it comes to the stigma, nobody wants to be associated with
Yep.
a so-called black man.
That's right.
It says, "And the remnant of Jacob in the midst of the people as a dew from the Lord, as the showers upon the grass, that tarrieth not for man, nor waiteth for the sons of men."
Yep.
It says, "And the remnant of Jacob shall be among the Gentiles in the midst of many people, as a lion among the beasts of the forest."
Right. So you're gonna see that. You're gonna see Jake, because when Jake gets roused up, Esau and the nations, they start running. You know, because Jake can start tearing shit up. You know, going, you know, taking all that years of frustration out on these nations, and that's what you see right now. So things, the tension is getting more and more intense every day. So as the more tension or the more intense things get, the more Jake is being roused up. And you know, Jake been getting the short end of the stick for so long that they're gonna really lose it in these times. You know, because you got to remember, you know, when you ain't got nothing to lose, you lose it.
Yep.
Like my man Gerald Salente said.
Yep.
You know?
Yep. It says, "As a lion among the beasts of the forest, as a young lion among the flocks of sheep. Who if he go through, both tread it down and tear up in pieces, and none can deliver."
Right, none can deliver, because it's going to be all in these devils that's at the top. They know what the fuck they're doing. They know what they're doing, because the Spirit of the Lord is guiding them to do these things. You know, because it's the judgment of the Lord that's ultimately coming down. You know, these race wars, these class wars, this civil war,
Gender wars.
gender wars, you know, the economy, the woes of the people, you know, the shortages and all of this stuff, the supply chain breakdown, the truckers ain't getting their work, you know, to be able to supply, you know, these different stores with merchandise. That's all. The Lord is the one that's leading all of that. You see? Why? Because prophecy must and will be fulfilled. We have a more sure word of prophecy. Go ahead.
Yep. It says, "Thy hand shall be lifted up. Thy hand shall be lifted up upon thy adversaries, and all thy enemies shall be cut off." It says, "And it shall come to pass in that day, said the Lord, that I will cut off thy horses out of the midst of thee, and I will destroy thy chariots."
Right, and the Lord is going to, you know, shut everything down. Trucks, car. I mean, if you ain't got no money, if supplies ain't coming in, if they relying on foreign petroleum and all of that, you know, gas and all that, how the fuck you gonna fill up your car? Oh, you got a Tesla? Or what if they shut the grid down? You know, you got an electric car. What if they shut the grid down? You know, what if there's an EMP attack?
Yeah, just imagine, right? Just imagine America being completely shut down. No movement, no traffic, no food coming in, no entertainment, okay? No to and fro, no money, no nothing is moving. Everything comes to a standstill. These people are gonna fucking lose it.
That's it.
All right, it's gonna be every man for themselves. They're gonna turn into a beast-like state.
Yep.
But that's what they've been conditioned to be, and to act like it's beast. Even here in America, when there's plenty of everything, people still fight amongst each other.
Yeah.
And they're still cutthroats. So how much more when there's a lack of bread? How much more when there's great tribulation, like it talks about in 2 Ezra, the 15th chapter?
Right.
See, these things are upon us, and we're actually seeing them manifest.
Yeah.
The truckers, the apostles been speaking about the truckers, you know, being cut off for years, and people scoffed and they scorned. And each year we get closer, there's always a rumor of the truckers stopping. But now we're coming into the time where the shit's literally getting ready to happen. All right.
That's it.
And that's going to be used as a tactic to bring the American people to their knees, to humble you.
Yes.
In order for the elite to come in and so-called save the day through a digital means.
Yep.
So, you know, so now that you can have food, but it's going to come with conditions.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because back during the Great Depression, what did you have? Well, during the Depression, what did you have? You had FDR that was, you know, as president. he introduced something called the New Deal, which I believe that was a welfare system of that day to help people out, you know. So the New Deal, which Barack Obama, they said he brought in the New Deal, but then the New Deal will be the microchip, because you got to think of it like this: you're ignorant to the technology that's going on out here. You're ignorant to the scriptures, right? You're in a situation where you ain't got no money coming in, and you have all kind of debt, and all of a sudden they introduce a system, you know, with a method of payment that if you take this, then your woes will go away. You know, they may even do it to where whatever debt you have, it'll be wiped out if you take this device to be able to function in this new system. That way you'll be able to eat, you'll be able to pay your bills, you'll be able to have a home, a roof over your head, you'll have a job, you'll do this, that, the other. Most people are going to jump on that. That's why at first it's going to be what's the word I'm looking for? It's going to be
No, I know what you. Yeah. Damn.
So where
My go-to cola ain't working.
So you could choose pretty much. It's going to be a choice. There's another word for it.
Yeah.
But eventually they're going to make it mandatory. You see, because at the beginning most people are just going to go for it because the scriptures speak about they were deceived to receive the MOTB. You see, so when enough people take it and are in that system and they realize there ain't nothing you could do. What you gonna do? You gonna jump out the system? And once you have the device in you, you're done, finished.
Well, they've been so comfortable on the system.
Yeah.
It's like, a drug dealer can, a newcomer addicted to a drug, and then they take back that drug.
Yeah.
So now that person is like, okay, what do I do? Just tell me. I need to get my hit. It's like, all right, you got to do this. You got to do that. You got to do this.
Yep.
They say, fuck it. Nobody else has that. That's how it is with the American people. They need it. They've been so accustomed to the comforts.
Yep.
And the system that's being brought on simultaneously as this system crashes, when they offer it to you, it's going to be an alleviation from your pains. At best, it's going to be a Band-Aid. At best, because it's not going to fix the issue. But these people are so used to that allopathic. Just put a Band-Aid on it. Just give me some pain medicine. I don't care what it is. Just give me some pain medicine. I just want to eat again.
Right.
Not fixing the actual issue. Not going to the root cause.
That's it.
Okay. And they're gonna be deceived into taking it, and they're gonna have that great sore that's gonna accompany. All right. And a lot of people, they're gonna be fighting against the government. It's gonna be real bad. It's gonna be real bad.
Right.
And what is the lesson? The title of the lesson? Terrible. Was it terrible
times? Yep.
Terrible times are upon us.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, and then the average American out here totally relies on the government to supply them with things. They're dependent on the government. So when they bring this system in, they're just going to comply. Because it reminds me of the pigs of the Oiki Fenoiki. That was George Gordon used to have a podcast back in the day. He's back in the spirit world now, but he had a podcast and he had something called the pigs of the Oiki Fenoiki. And there were these wild pigs in some forest, and this man went, and everybody that went in there got killed. So he rented, some fencing and corn and different things. They say, well, we ain't gonna see you no more, but we'll sell it to you. So he went in there, he started feeding the pigs. At first they were a little leery, then the older pigs came, and eventually he started building the fence, and they got used to having his presence there and feeding them. So he kept enclosing them to where you only had two ways in, one way in and one way out. Or two ways. One, you could come in from either way or go out either way. Then eventually he closed one off, and he kept feeding them till one day they were all in there, and he finally closed it off and then carted them all away. You see? So he went back in, to the town and ask them to bring for helpers to help them to get the pigs so they could sell them. And that's pretty much what's happening. You American people have been sold. You know, you've been reliant so much on this system that when they bring the new system in place, you're going to jump on it and you're going to be locked in because you're already locked in.
Yep. Yeah. Well, the brother, what's the brother? He the Yaquab son of Sears Jr. It was the word voluntary.
There you go, the water, brother. That's the word.
Yeah.
Voluntary. That's the word that was eluding us. The go-to, the ginkgo, all of that didn't help.
Yeah.
But guess what helped? The spirit.
That's it.
That's it. So it's going to be a voluntary thing at first, but eventually it's going to become, mandatory. Why?
Yep.
Because the scriptures must be fulfilled. You know, the ones that the elect that refuse, that get beheaded for it. Why are they going to get beheaded if it's voluntary at that point? No, it's going to be mandatory at a particular point. Because their thing is get the majority of the people in there, and they already ran their test run during 2020, so they know that the average person out there is going to take whatever they give them, you know. So now we got to focus on the 15%, you know, or 20% or whatever the case may be that are not on board. We just got, and then we'll just take them out, and then we'll be home free.
Yep.
But they didn't never counted on Yahweh Bashem Yahushai stepping in.
That's it. That's
what Yahushai said, unless those days be shortened, there shall be no flesh left to be saved. But for the elect's sake, those days shall be short.
Yep, this is 2 Ezra 15 and 14. Woe to the world and them that dwell therein.
Hard times are coming. Terrible times. Woe to the world and them that dwell therein. This is talking about the world, the whole world. This speaks of in Revelation 12, and in Revelation 3 and 10.
Okay, yep.
You know, both of those, it's the whole world, because Esau is in control of the whole world, and he wants to bring the whole world under his rule. His rule consists of him governing, having a one world system, a one world government, one world currency, and that's what they want, and that's what they're going to, push on the people, and they want total control. They don't want a system to where you can sidestep the bankers.
Oh yeah.
They want every dime, every penny, every nickel that you make. They want a piece of it.
And they want to know where it's going and where it has been spent,
Yeah.
and they want to control where you can spend that money.
That's it.
And even how long you can hold that money.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
the money is going to be what's it called? Programmable. So they can say, okay, you can only buy these goods.
Yeah.
Like with the EBT, you can only buy certain food with the EBT.
That's it.
You can't buy, a TV with it, or you can't buy clothes.
Right.
You can't buy this, you can't buy that. Nah. So the money is going to be programmable.
Yeah.
And this is the thing. It's not like you can, fuck America. I'm gonna go to Iran. They're gonna they have the same system in Iran.
Same
I'm gonna go to Russia, the enemy of America. They have the same system. China, they have the same system. So what? So how did that happen?
Yeah.
Because the whole time, the wicked elite behind the scenes, they've been setting the trap.
That's it.
All right, they've been setting the trap. They have all these world governments on lead with it. These nations, they sold out.
Yep.
All right, they drunk of the wine, the fornication of Babylon the Great.
That's it.
They're in lead with each other.
That's it.
Okay.
And that's why the Lord, when he comes back, he ain't coming for he gonna destroy the peons, but he's coming to visit first the Edomites, the ones in control, their leaders, and their militaries.
That's it. Yep. Verse 15, for the sword and the destruction draweth nigh.
Yeah.
And one people shall stand up and fight against another.
Right. Sword in their hand. They about to destroy each other. One people shall stand up against another. They go your class wars, your race wars, your civil wars, and every other war that you can add in there. So it's going to be bad. So this is why the prophets will say, woe is me. Who's going to deliver me in those days? Who's going to be on my side? Who's going to protect me? Because they actually saw, what we're seeing right now. Just like the Apostle John saw when people were getting micro-C-hipped. He actually saw people lining up and getting that device implanted into their hands. And some ones of them getting it implanted into their head. Why? Because that's the MOTB system. And he actually seen it. So here it is. You got all these great empires that the scriptures talk about, but it's not going to talk about America. The major empire of all empires, and the Bible's not going to talk about it? Come on, man. Come on, man.
Come on, man. It says, and swords in their hands, for there shall be sedition among men.
Right. Sedition is like an uprising against each other. You know, boundary stepping. You know, here it is now. You walk by a person's home, and you're not gonna just walk in there unless you got, you know, some business to deal with them, or you got to drop off some mail or a package or whatever. But you're not just not gonna walk up in the person's place and just break in. You know, unless it's nighttime. You know, but for the most part, you respect people's rights. You respect people's space. But in that time, there's gonna be line stepping.
Yep, that's it. That's it.
You know, people are they're not gonna be worried about the line that's drawn in the sand. They're gonna cross those lines. Ain't gonna be no more brotherly, you know, neighborly love and none of that shit. Because desperation is gonna set in. Once desperation sets in,
That's it.
that's when the hell begins.
Woo! That's a lesson up there.
That's it. There you
It
go.
says, for there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes.
We just happen to be passing by
Yep. It says,
by a cop, you know, and that just shows you that they're not going to regard anybody, not your politicians, not your police, not your feds, not your CIA, nothing, not the military, not the National Guard, because you have to understand, desperate times are going to set in, and when people are in a desperate mindset and they're not used to that, they're going to lose it, big time.
Yep. In desperate times, was it desperate measures?
Time, yeah, desperate time calls for desperate measures.
You know, so people are gonna throw out all, you know, all love for one another. They're gonna throw out all rationality.
Yep.
They're not gonna be thinking rational. They're gonna be hungry.
Yep.
They're gonna be in a beast-like mindset, and they're not gonna have the spirit of the Lord. They're gonna have the spirit of death angels upon them.
Yeah.
You know, to go crazy, go buck wild. You know?
You imagine Big Shirley?
Oh man.
Them anacondas ain't getting fed in their stomach, and them motherfuckers are going like this, swaying back and forth, doing the snake, you know, doing the centipede and shit, you know, and she gonna be like, ah! She gonna lose it. She gonna be knocking buildings down, you know. She gonna go into rhino mode.
Well, you can see how Big Shirley and Keisha, they're gonna eat their children.
Oh,
You can
man.
see it because
Yeah.
they've been so comfortable in this society.
Yeah.
You know, they've eaten. You know, Esau get here's $1,000 a month to eat.
Yep.
You know, eat whatever you want. Well, out here in California, you can. Well, I know in the Bay Area, you can go to Popeyes with your EBT.
Damn.
You know, you can go to McDonald's, Burger King. You go to any fast food restaurant, you can get hot, ready food on your EBT. Okay, so when that's pulled back,
Damn.
you don't think Big Shirley, Keisha, you don't think that they're going to get the MOTB? They're going to be some of the first one. If they'd probably be the first one to get it
It's learn.
in line. Well, just like the whole 2020 thing, the first person that they showed here in America to get it was a Benjamite lady, was a Benjamite nurse, the first individual to get that jump shot.
Check that out.
So you don't think that's going to happen with the MOTB? You're going to have our people, the first one, especially the woman, that's going to say, get it. Because who does Jake follow?
Yeah,
They know.
That's it.
They follow the woman. So that's
it.
how you get to Jake. Just like the serpent came to Eve.
That's it.
It's the same thing, okay?
Yeah, and then the system that's run right now, who got the system fucked up like this? Big Shirley. No, Keisha. They're the ones that got the so-called black community fucked up like it is today. You know? So they're the leaders of destruction. You know? The N-Dub is the leader of destruction. That's the lesson. You know? So they know who to set up. They know who gets it popping. They know Big Shirley gets it popping. You know? So they're going to use what they got to get what they want.
It says, they shall not regard the kings nor princes, in the course of their actions shall stand in their power.
Right, it's going to stand in their power, because at the end of the day, it's every man for himself. You know, whatever you see fit, whatever rules you deem to judge the situation that you're in, that's what you're going to go by. You're not going to be worried about no penal code. You're not going to be worried about no stop signs, stop lights. You're not going to be worried about tickets and, you know, and getting, you know, locked up.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be no law, but nothing but disorder. Which what they want is anarchy, which is no rule. A is no or not. Archy is rule. So anarchy is no rule. No established government, no established laws, no police, no reserves, no National Guards, nothing, police, nothing to stop people from infringing upon each other's rights.
And you can see how these 15-minute cities, these people are going to be begging to be in these 15-minute cities because they're going to be controlled by digital means and by, they're going to be in security,
Right.
So as they let America go, there's going to be a time of great insurrection, a great time of sedition and anarchy. And then Esau going to come in with the truth, and he's going to start to bring everything back online with control. Okay. And the people are like, no, I want to be in those cities that are,
Yep.
walled off,
Yep.
that are safe.
Yep.
Well, the scriptures speak about how there should be eating and drinking and building,
Yep.
and before the Son of Man comes.
Right. But then there's going to be chaos too.
Yep, that's it.
So you're going to have those like in the movie They Live. That dude that was like, he was in a homeless encampment, and the church was across the street, but then towards the end of the movie, he sold out. He got the micro C hip, and then he was, up there, with the rich, living it up, drinking champagne, while everybody else was catching hell. So people are going to be eating and drinking that are not subjected to the turmoil and the hell and the terribleness that's going to be going on out here. So man, this is the greatest movie ever, and we're actually watching it in real time.
Ooh. And you're gonna have to, in order to enjoy those amenities of safety, peace and safety, you're gonna have to take the RFID. You know what?
Yeah.
Okay, that's gonna be the requirement, and a lot of people don't sign up for it because what's the other option?
Right.
Hell, cannibals, wild
Yep.
beasts,
Yep.
starving. No surety of life, no surety of your family.
Dang.
All right, no income.
Yep.
All right, you're stranded out there in the elements, and everybody's a cutthroat.
Yep.
So you can see how the people are going to submit, all right, to this man's, his image, his MAR to the K.
Yep.
But the elect are not going to submit. The elect are going to be carried through all that. They're going to be delivered through all that.
Yeah. And Jake don't trust in the Most High. They don't have faith in the Most High. The only time they have faith in the Most High is when something good happens to them. Anytime anything bad happens to them, they don't have no faith to the Lord. So they're not going to be looking to the Heavenly Father and to the words for comfort, the words of the scriptures.
Verse 19. Verse 17. A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able.
Right, because the cities are going to be cut off. And that's the same thing it says in Micah, the 5th chapter. Cities are going to be cut off. It's not going to be. That's why whenever you hear these so-called survivalists, these doomsday preppers and all that, what's their main message?
Get out of the cities.
Get out of the cities. Don't be in the cities, because you're going to have a neighbor, and then they're going to know you stacking, and they're going to be like looking at you like you bugged out. But then when the hell breaks out and you can't get no food, they're coming knocking at your door.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. So they'll tell you get out of the cities, because the cities are going to be trashed, because the cities are set up, in a way where everything is convenient. But when you are in the country or when you are in the woods, that's not convenient, because you don't have your 7-Elevens, you don't have your Pete's Coffee, you don't have your Starbucks, you don't have your McDonald's,
Your Wingstop.
your Wingstop,
Your police stations.
your police stations. You don't have any. You can't get. Well, these people don't. Most of them don't drink water anyway. You can't get your pop, your favorite pop with all kind of chemicals that's tearing your ass up. You don't even realize it. You can't get no fried chicken. The only way you could eat is if you know how to hunt.
Yep. Oh, and see, these preppers, what they don't also take into consideration.
We got here quick.
Yeah. What these preppers don't also take into consideration is that it's going to be hell in the mountains too. It's
Yes.
going to be famine in those mountains. That's how bad it's going to get. Because this is the judgment of Yahweh Shema Shai. It doesn't matter how much you prepped, how much you stocked up. You got a bunker, whatever it may be. The Most High is going to visit you.
Oh yeah.
So there's going to be a lot of cannibalism. All right, a lot of death in those mountains. Well, you're going to have a lot of people when the shit's hitting the fan. They're going to go into the mountains.
Yep.
And they're going to find your ass.
Yep.
All right, and they're going to put you to death. All right, and they're going to take your goods, spoil you.
Yep.
Okay, they're going to go house to house.
Cannibalism's coming back. Scriptures speak about cannibalism. know, so you might have stuff that you have prepped, right? You got it stored pristine, and nobody knows where you at. And something happens where all that shit gets destroyed. You know, people don't think like that. You know, an earthquake could happen, or something could happen to where a fire might break out and fuck all your shit up. Now what?
Or you might get injured.
Yep.
Because you still, these so-called preppers, they still rely on the American medical system.
Yeah.
All right, and Esau's pharmaceuticals.
Yeah.
All right, so what happens when there's something wrong with you and you don't know the herbs, neither is the Most High with you with the herbs to heal you, to unlock the, because you can take the herbs, but if the Most High don't unlock them, then it's not going to work.
That's it.
So you can, so like, go ahead,
no. You got my spirit going. Go ahead.
So you can take as much of the best herbs as possible to heal your situation, and it only gets worse.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
There's an instance like that in the scriptures.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, so how you gonna be a prepper, right? And you talking about stuck up medication?
That's crazy.
You know, make sure you have all these medications. If you know, just in case things go bad, you know, you have your medication with you. How the fuck? How could you have the decency to call yourself a prepper? You know, and you talking about stocking goddamn medication?
Yeah, medication that you know that has side effects that's gonna fuck you up. You got certain individuals that they are bound to the pharmaceutical companies because of particular ailments, particular surgeries that they had, that they are tied to so-called medicine to survive. So Esau got you on all sides. And when he crashes this society, none of these individuals are gonna be able to withstand that. The only ones that are gonna be able to withstand in that day are the elect.
That's it.
Because they're gonna actually have a supernatural helper to come and deliver them out of these situations.
Yeah.
All right.
And most people are not expecting that. Not even Jake. Jake ain't expecting, you know, for divine intervention to happen. You know, when society collapses and all hell breaks loose. No, that's that way. You know, good.
It says, "For because of pride, the city shall be troubled, and the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid."
Right, men shall be afraid. You know, now you ain't gonna have the people in the military that's gonna be afraid when all hell breaks loose, because the American military pretty much is a joke. You know, you have militaries from around the world like Russia. Those are real soldiers. The majority of the soldiers here in America are through. You know, they're through. You know, you got a bunch of moles. You know, you got a bunch of overweight, obese, you know, no good for nothing, you know, individuals. Go ahead.
Yep, it says, "A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation." Now the spirit.
Yeah. So, like, I didn't even realize the spirit. I'd be saying that Jake was big as hell behind us, you know. Hey, there's a spirit made me say that. I said they're obese, no good for nothing. And then I said, oh shit, I forgot this dude was behind us. Hey, well, spirit.
But that's a spirit. But see how? Okay, just like you said, no good for nothing. What is a guy like that gonna do when all hell breaks loose?
Die.
You see, he's not. He's gonna be good for nothing.
Yeah.
They gonna cut him up and eat him. Okay, because he got a lot of meat on him.
Yeah,
a lot of meat, you know.
They call it delectable Negro. God damn.
Yeah. But that's just that's just a microcosm of pretty much the state of America. They Esau fatten you up with all these drugs. See, because these foods are not just foods; they're drugs.
Yeah.
You know, the Food and Drug Administration, they literally inject their pharmaceuticals in the food and get you addicted, unbeknownst to you.
Yeah.
So once these things start getting pulled back, look at these people just 30 minutes without eating.
Yeah.
Or when there's no more fucking coffee.
Oh,
These people are going to catch pure hell. When them symptoms are setting in,
yeah,
these people are going to do anything. We're going to see it. They're going to do anything to alleviate that pain, that stress.
Yeah.
All right, that sorrow. And if that's them just putting a little grain of rice, the device inside it, that's not a big deal. Because now I get to eat. Now I get my cup of coffee.
Yeah.
You know, now I get my bug burger. It's better than not having any food.
Yep.
So we can actually see this thing going down right before our eyes. And these, you have the trucker strikes, right? You had trucker strikes. Now there is just no work for these truckers.
Yeah.
No goods are coming in.
And that's bad news for you Americans. It's good news for us because it's prophecy, but it's bad news for you Americans. You know, because once the truckers stop, you ain't gonna get no more food. You know, I mean, because you're not gonna be worried about the clothes and furniture, TV, nothing, because your focus is gonna be on food. So if the truckers are stopping, you think that, oh no, well, you know what? They still gonna bring in food. McDonald's is still gonna be open. Burger King's still gonna be open. Popeye's still gonna be. They're still gonna be frying up chicken. No.
Nope.
How the fuck you think they get the merchandise to be able to cook those things? The trucks got to bring them in. So it's gonna be bad out here, man.
It's getting bad right now as we speak.
Yep.
And this is a beautiful time.
Yep.
This is a great time to be alive.
Yes, sir.
Only if you serve Yahweh Shem Shai.
Beautiful.
Because he's not a God that he shall lie. So when he said that he's going to deliver Jacob, that's what he's going to do. He's going to deliver the elect of Jacob. So throughout this famine, throughout the tribulation, throughout the sedition, throughout the setting up the chip,
Yep.
the Most High is going to be there to have Jake protected in that day.
Yeah.
Okay.
The elect. Yeah.
Can I bring out one more
bring
scripture?
It out. Bring it out as many as you
Uma
want.
escritora, por favor.
Yeah.
You quoted it earlier. One of my favorite scriptures, Revelation 3:10.
Yep.
Because thou hast kept the word of my patience.
Beautiful.
I will also keep thee from the hour of temptation.
Right. People are not taking, not keeping the word of the Most High's patience. Because most people are not willing to deal with the hell that comes with it. Go ahead. I also will keep thee from what?
Will also keep thee from the hour of temptation.
And what's the hour of temptation? Ultimately is a micro C hip, but everything leading up to it too. But the final hour of temptation is that micro C hip.
Yeah, and that word keep in the Greek is tereo, which means to attend to carefully or to guard. So the Most High is going to have his angels attend to you during this hour of temptation.
Yeah.
Which these other people, they're not going to have an attendant, somebody waiting on them, somebody protecting them in that time.
Right.
All right. It says, which shall come upon all the world to try them that dwell upon the earth.
Right, because it's going to be a worldwide event. These devils, it's a new world order. It's not a new continent order or a new city order. It's a new world order.
That's it.
So they want the whole entire world. They don't just want a piece of it. They want the whole thing, and they want everybody in it. And they want total control of everybody. And that's going to be through that micro C hip. Which you have to still fighting against it. Slowly but surely trying to wiggle their way in there. Listen to our lessons, moron. We always said that there was going to be some digital system in the micro. I said they might throw a micro C hip in there. It just wasn't happening back then.
Yeah. Last verse.
The audacity.
It says, behold, I come quickly, but all the receipts are there.
Yeah.
That's why, you be like, man, why does the Lord have us keep speaking about this guy? And to help, the Lord, he keeps iterating his point that these guys are false prophets, and the receipts are out there. So Israel have seen it. They can act like they didn't see it.
Right.
They can act like we weren't telling the truth. All right, but hey, the whole world can see it now. All right,
and they're gonna witness. Everything, because they're witnessing everything right now being spoken of over and over again, and everything documented. So when it comes, they're gonna be like, "Oh shit, I didn't know." Well, you've been told.
Yeah, I was gonna read verse 11, but my phone shut off. So.
Oh damn. So, well, with that, it's I think it says,
"Behold, I come quickly."
Keep that keep that fast, something like that.
Yeah. Which thou hast, that no man takes thy crown.
There you go. Boom. So that's it. So with that, we pray that you brothers and few sisters have been edified. To the next time we say shalom.
Shalom.